right. Welcome to our live class, our Tuesday live class. And we have our co-host, Pastor Norman Armstrong, with us. I'm Tony, and this is
Hello, everybody.
this is Mr. Dr. Clifton, and this is Dr. Antoinette Sawyer. Here we are, Dr. Norman Armstrong. We're ready for another heart to heart. And he was just telling us how he's been grilling. And tell us what you're grilling again. Go ahead and tell us.
Well, today and tomorrow, because it's for a big gathering, I'm doing some pulled pork, uh,
Mm.
uh, baby back ribs, and my favorite wings, lemon pepper and hot pepper
Why you
wings.
why you cooking all that stuff?
He said for
Uh,
the
my,
event they're about to
yeah, my
have.
Okay. I didn't hear.
grandson, he's having his senior night. He plays lacrosse, and so they're having their senior night on Thursday, and I'm doing all of that for that.
All right. Well, listen, and that sounds good. That sounds so good. You might make me hungry talking about that pulled pork. I tell you, you have to let that cook a long time, don't you? You smoke it?
Yes,
No.
everything is smoke. Everything
Okay.
that I
I
do.
didn't know you smoked.
Yeah, I smoke. I smoke.
Oh, yeah, he smokes some good food. Hey, brother and
Yeah.
sissy, that's brother-in-law and sissy, and there's Dee Dee and George, and then there's John Greason in the house, and
George, I ain't seen
there's
you so long. I don't know what you look like.
Anita Blue. Hey, sweetie pie. And
Need a blue.
Sissy's telling us she can hear us, sis. Thank you for that.
Well, I can't hear you.
Yeah, it does sound like a feast, doesn't it? I tell you, that's a lot of food too. Anybody helping you? You doing it all alone?
Doing it all alone.
Yeah,
Then my wife, she'll do what she does in the kitchen. But I'm doing
but
all
she
of the
does
cooking.
best. She does. She's a good cook too.
Mhm.
Very good cook.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we've heard about her.
the Lord trying to tell us something.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. He's sending you a message. I do believe. Listen, I did a flyer for the event that we've got coming up. We're gonna, Sister Anita Blue. That's my sweetie pie. She has already scheduled it for the Saturday after Easter, which is the 26th of April, and that's from 1 to, I'm going to say 1 to 3 because I don't think we'll make it to 4, but it's supposed to start at 1, and it's at Ben's Boys Restaurant. We've had that once before for my birthday at
Mhm.
that location. So I want you to just send me an email. Can you send me an email real quick if you're going to be there, and that'll really help me. And I'll try to have the flyer ready for you guys on Sunday. But I worked on it yesterday and forgot to put it up on here tonight. But yeah, send me an email. I think I got the email banner here. Let me see if I got it up here. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Yeah. So send me an email if you're going to come. And if you plan to bring somebody with you, let me know how many of you are going to be there. That'll be great. And Sister Anita's getting an account as well. We have to have an account. And the seating is kind of limited, so we need you to do it quickly, okay? Get your spot right quick. We're looking forward to that, getting together. The Cornerstoners having a face-to-face encounter again. We had a wonderful time the last time for your birthday, didn't we? Was it
Mhm.
your birthday? Yeah, it was your birthday. We did.
Well, it was.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So it's for lunch. It's gonna be lunch, not breakfast. So we look forward to seeing you guys. So hey, Jill, good to see you, sweetheart. And Dee Dee said George is looking. George is looking
Looking.
at us.
Is he looking? I don't know what he look like.
Said he's looking.
I know he's looking, but I don't know what he look like.
We haven't seen him in so long. We don't know what he's looking like.
Come on, he looking good. I
He's
don't know. I
looking
ain't
good.
seen him in a long time. I don't know whether he's short or tall or skinny or jumping around like a rabbit.
Oh my goodness. That's normal. What did you preach on Sunday? I always ask
I,
that.
I didn't preach. My wife preached,
Oh, she did. And
and
what
she
did she preach?
she shared the story of Rizpah and when her sons were being hanged, and how she was waving the
Uh-huh.
buzzers, the flies, and everything away from it, and so she pretty much came out to wave it off, and so she was talking about waving things off from the
Yeah,
in things in your mind, things that's trying to happen, things that you think is about to die, and the flies and the buzzards, they always flying around something that is either dead or about to die. And so she was
yeah.
waving it off. And we actually had a miracle happen right in the service. She had all these towels that she had prayed over, again, waving things off. And she
Yeah.
told some of the women to come grab the towel. We had a young lady who came, hadn't seen her in years. And she came in, she had what they call Bell palsy.
Oh yeah. I've heard
One
of that.
side of her face was paralyzed, and so the
Yeah.
doctors were trying to find out was they thought she might have had a stroke. Then they was thinking if she was going to possibly have an aneurysm. So she came in, no feeling on that side of her face, couldn't move her face. As soon as she got the towel, immediately sensation came to her face and she started having mobility and she was able to
Oh,
move
that's wonderful.
totally. And so she came up and gave her testimony afterwards and so forth. So right in the sense. So by that time, you know what happened.
Oh yeah.
Those that has been to bowl and know the culture bowl, a praise broke out.
Of
So
course, of course. Yes. Well,
yeah.
that's exciting. That's exciting. Well, as you heard on Sunday, Mama Chris is back home, and what she said to us Sunday was so good, so good. We all felt that. I remember you typed in that you were running.
Yeah, and it's funny. I thought about it at our service. I typed in I was running, and then the people at the church, we hadn't done that in a long time. There was a lot of running going on.
I bet. I bet. Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, welcome you guys. We're just chit chatting along here. We don't get to talk to Pastor Norman until Tuesdays, pretty much, unless we have a reason to call each other. I always like to know what's happening in his area, and just to know that everything's going good for him. So, what you got on your plate tonight? You got anything good on it?
I got everything everybody else got on their plate.
Everything everybody else got.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Well, let's see. What we're going to talk about tonight? What do you want to talk about?
If anybody out there want to talk about anything, put it up on the board and we'll read it out and go for it.
No, that's good.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be all right.
We have a Q&A.
We'll let
questions.
we'll let one
A
of
Q&A, yes.
yeah we'll let them roll with the punches
Now,
from their side.
when we ask them that, it's like they freeze up.
Mhm.
So go ahead. If you have a question, put it in, or something a statement you want to make, put it in, and we'll address it. Okay, and we'll deal with it as we go.
While they trying to decide if they're going to do that. I want to share this real quick. I heard something that what we're dealing with, and it's again everything that's going on and so forth. But I heard that we have leaders now that are operating for what we would call a bully syndrome, where they're acting out based off of things that occurred to them in their childhood.
Yeah.
And so now they're at this place now where they're acting out and they're trying to bully everybody and so forth. So I heard that this morning in my time of meditation that we're facing people that is trying to bully or influence people because of the anger and the dissatisfaction with themselves.
Yeah.
Which again deals with the unstableness of mankind as a whole.
Yeah.
I can tell you've been screaming. Your voice seems mighty shallow.
Oh no, I haven't been screaming. No.
Your voice sounds like it's shallow, like you got stuffed up there a little bit.
Well, now, just like everybody else, especially here in South Carolina, the pollen is real bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's affecting a lot of us.
Well, I have to oppose the pollen. Paul the pollen.
Yes, yes. The
Well, I tell
pollen
you what,
is
while
very
everybody's
thick.
thinking, let's do our meditation right quick. Prayer, whatever you want to call it. We move this out of the way so you guys can see all of it. Okie dokie. Here we go. All right. I hope you're in a place where you can be quiet for a moment and not have the distractions. And if you can, hey, Sister Pearl, she just popped in. Hey, Sister Pearl. Been thinking about you today, darling. All right. If you are in a spot where you can, I want you to repeat this after me. Take a deep breath in, if you would. And release it now. And let all concerns, all preferences, desires, let it all go. Just put it aside for a moment. You don't need anything right now for this next hour. Nothing that we may have been involved in today or will be involved with later is relevant for right now. So we're going to be in the moment. Take another deep breath in, if you would, and release it. Let all the tension go with it, all the tension of the day. And repeat after me, or you can simply listen, whichever is easiest for you. I relinquish the ownership of this body. I relinquish the ownership of this mind. I relinquish ownership of this life. And I return to you, Lord, what has always been yours. I give up the right to acclaim anything as my own. And I surrender all self-identities and mental belief systems. I surrender to what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen. I embrace everything as my lesson. I accept that I am here in this body. I now turn to the God presence within. There is where I find peace. There is where I find purpose. There is where I find joy. There I find contentment. And there I find fulfillment. And so it is. I was listening to Will Smith, who had a short video regarding his latest project, his album. Well, I guess they call them albums. I don't know what they call them nowadays. But his latest project, and about his journey since slapping Chris Rock. It's very interesting. But he in the course of the video talking about that project, he mentioned that he's learned to accept what's presented to him in his life. And now he sees it as I like the term he used, he called it a divine curriculum.
That's good. That's good.
Divine curriculum. And that to not resist whatever is presented to him, because it is for the purpose of uncovering unhidden pain, or I should say hidden pain, undiscovered things within himself. And so that divine curriculum is being presented to him in every situation, in every instance. So I thought that was really, really good. It was a very short video. It was just to promote the project that he was doing. And he's talking about how that he was able to rise above what is happening. And of course, he said a whole lot of other things, but that was the one thing that stuck out to me, that life now he sees as a divine curriculum.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. It was real good. And we've often said that everything presented to us is a life lesson. But when he said divine curriculum, it takes on a different flavor because it is actually determined and orchestrated by intelligence, by God itself, to cause us to discover those hidden things about ourselves and to work through them.
Hmm. And of course, curriculum also could be defined as a series of lessons that,
Yeah.
like when we go to school, there is a curriculum that is given to us, and has a list of things that we are
Yeah.
to cover during the time period that we're in that particular class. And so,
Okay. Okay.
that lets us know as well, when y'all talk about sacred contracts, there are
Hmm.
certain things, life lessons that has been a part of our curriculum before the foundation
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
So, as you was talking, I thought about the word that we use quite often, and it's used also when Jesus was led in the wilderness to be tempted. We seem to forget that the word tempted also means test.
Test.
It. And
Mhm.
so in life, we're going to face many tests. And
Yeah.
so I like the fact of what you were sharing with concerning Will Smith, and it was part of something that I shared during our virtual broadcast on Sunday morning. I've been doing a series concerning maintaining your faith in difficult times. Jesus has said to Peter in Luke chapter 22, verses 31 through 2, he said, um, Simon, Satan seeks to sift thee, and he has desire to sift thee as wheat. But I pray that your faith fail you not. And
Hmm.
so he did not pray that he would be delivered out of whatever he would be facing. He prayed that while you're going through what you're going through, my prayer is that your faith fail you not. And so, again, one of the things, key points that I focus on Sunday was one of the things that we need to understand is that Jesus is always there praying for us or interceding for us. And so, of course, I use the story of Job to kind of give an understanding of that. If this story be true, Job lost everything that he had, but the accuser, see, that's what people on the word Satan means, accuser of the brethren. In Revelations, it says he goes before the Lord day and night, accusing the brethren. But again, Jesus is a median advocate. And so I was sharing with everyone that you must understand that whatever you are facing, whatever you're dealing with in life, the way you approach it depends depends your outcome of that situation. And so, um, in that situation, Job, he lost everything that he had. But the key that was mentioned in that scripture that caught me was the Lord said unto Satan, "You can attack or touch everything that he has, but you can't touch him."
Hmm.
And so I thought about our authentic self. A lot of the things that we go through in life is always in reference to what we have. Even our health, we either have good or bad health. But
Hmm.
the person that we really are, the original, the authentic self, is never again attacked or
Never
go through
touched.
things.
Yeah, never touched. It,
Exactly. And
it
so I
can't
thought
it
about
can't
that.
be touched. It can't be touched.
And so if we could pull from that place where can never be touched, can never be touched, can never suffer, then we'll realize all the things that we have or we attach to really does not define who we really are.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so when I went back and studied that again, I said, "Wow!" He told him, "Yeah, you could do this with his possessions, you could do this with his family, you could do this with the cattle, all these things, but
Hmm.
you cannot touch that part which belongs to me."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was thinking about, we often talk about uh, the different situations, but I'm reminded of when we have personal relationship conflicts. It is difficult to see that as a divine. part of the divine curriculum, as you say.
Mhm.
Because, and I like the way you put that about the curriculum entails more than one lesson. So it's a whole series of lessons to get you to an expected end. And I remember Jeremiah 29, when we often quote that. Jeremiah 29 talks about giving us an expected end.
Mhm.
And so that curriculum is planned. It's planned, it's written out, it is sequential, meaning the lessons, this is the lesson you'll have today, this is the next lesson you'll have. It's known, it's already known
Mhm.
at some level, it's already known which lesson you're going to have, and how many lessons to get to that expected end, that goal. And so I can see where God has orchestrated and navigated our lives to bring us to that place. Most of the time, we resist the lesson
Mhm.
until we realize our resistance is futile, as they say with the Borg. Uh, Resistance is futile. We resist the lesson until that gets home, is driven home to us. Uh, and so, in personal relationship conflicts, I think most of our lessons come from that. Um, more so that than, say, a hardship financially or something like that. The relationships we tend to take, they drive the dagger home. I'll say it like that.
Mhm.
Because when you're in a relationship with someone, especially someone you really care about, and they become the accuser, as you said,
Mhm.
accusers of something that we don't believe about ourselves, there is where the lesson is learned. Is there any truth in what they said? And being able to accept that there may be some element of truth in what they said.
Mhm.
And so anyway, yeah. Yeah.
I love that you brought up about the relationships, and that's very big right there, because
Mm-hmm.
we have to understand that we're, even though we can function independently, but we were actually created to be interdependent, to actually depend on one another in order to interact. And so, as you were sharing that concerning relationship, I was reminded of what John had wrote concerning, again, God is love, and he was saying, how can we say we love God if
Mm-hmm.
we hate our brothers and sisters who we actually see? And
Mm-hmm.
so, I- what you just showed us was, as we have different and various relationships with different people, we could be tested in those relationships in order for us to understand how we supposed to actually interact with God himself. Because in all actuality, those that we're in relationships with, if we understand being
Yeah.
enlightened and oneness, again, we're interacting God. So if I'm having a unfavorable moment with that individual, I'm also having an unfavorable moment with God himself. And so oftentimes I have to remind people in church, you think that you actually mad with and angry with other people, but you actually angry with God.
Yeah, and I shared this with my sister on Sunday. We were talking after the live stream. We often call each other and talk. That you can't love a person if you're judging a person.
Exactly.
So in relationships, it's it's difficult. I'll say it's difficult to not judge, simply because we're so habitually used to doing it. Um, the other person, we automatically, if there's any disagreement, the other person is automatically wrong, regardless of whether they're right or wrong. That's the stance we take. Um, and that therefore we miss the lesson that's being presented at that moment. So, I don't know where to go with that, except that I know that those lessons will continue to come until we stop resisting them.
And then they're on schedule as well. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
all of the lessons are on schedule. But even when you just said that about judging, if you love someone, there should not be a lot of judgments.
Mhm.
And I thought of this, so I don't know why that came up. Or we used to say, "He looked beyond all my faults and saw my need."
Yeah.
Well, we need to identify the need. He the need for everybody is just that simple one thing: love,
Mhm.
because God is love. And so we are to exhibit once again the nature and the essence of God through what we call love.
Yeah, and what we often think of as love is being kind and nice, and
No.
that's not what love is. Love is not emotional. It doesn't have a lot of passion involved in necessarily. Uh, and I often say love will break a bone in order to set it right. So
Mhm.
it's difficult with these words that we use all the time to not conceptualize them and make them cliches.
Mhm.
When you were talking initially tonight, and you were talking about their faith, I want to ask everybody this, and I don't even know if I can answer, but what is your faith? You said how to how to keep your faith in hard times. Is that how you worded it? I don't
No,
know.
maintaining your faith in difficult times, and what
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I mean by that, again, I'm being approached by so many different people. Again, being a what you will quote a spiritual leader, and so,
yeah,
like I said, it's literally hard to try to not really discuss or talk about all that's happening
yeah.
and so forth, because it is affecting people
It is. He
faith.
just mentioned.
They're
Uh,
becoming concerned
yeah.
and frightened and fearful, and they're asking, again, especially if you flow in the vein of the prophetic, you
Mhm,
know, what is going on, what you think is about it. And so I thought about that again when Jesus said that to Simon, to Peter. He said, Simon, Simon, the enemy desires to have you, to sift you as wheat. But he said, I will pray for you. We never talk about how Jesus actually intercedes on behalf, even in Romans chapter 8, when the Bible says we don't know what to pray for. The Bible declares that the Spirit helpeth our infirmities with groans and moans that cannot be uttered. He that searches all hearts and know the mind of the Spirit,
mhm,
once again goes into intercession on behalf of the saints according to the will of God. And
mhm,
so that's what I wanted people to understand. I have other key points as well, but I only was able to highlight that one on Sunday because that was the virtual part. But again, Jesus is always there. He's always interceding. So, like I told him, let's be honest. Some of you are going through some things right now in your life,
mhm.
and we was taught to pray, believe. But let's be honest. There are such situations that we go through in life. I don't know what to say. I don't even know how to
Yeah,
form
yeah. That's
words or
yes.
say to God or whatever. So that's what we rely on the Spirit of God.
Yes, and the truth is, we are not allowed to escape every hardship, and
Exactly.
we would love to be able to escape every hardship, but it does not happen.
Mhm.
Uh, so, and it cannot happen if this is a divine curriculum, as we
Exactly.
mentioned. And John Grease is asking a question. He said, "How many lessons before seeing the diploma?" That I don't have an answer to. It's been 2025 years after the death of Christ, let alone the thousands of years prior BC. And this we're talking about, John, is more personal than the lessons provided for the entire world.
Yeah.
These lessons that we're mentioning, this curriculum is written for you, custom, tailor made just for you. And so it has not been 2025 years for you. It's only been the age that you are, however old you are. That's how long you've been in it. Now, go ahead, honey. You
In the
going to say
garden,
something?
it said, this is what it said in the beginning of the book. And I use these words that was on paper. On the day that you eat of this fruit, this is what it said.
Mhm.
If it is true or not, let's use this as a portal or a
Yeah, reference. Yeah.
foundation.
Mhm.
Day you eat of it, you shall die. Now, what that means is this. This is what I finally understood the full meaning of it. It wasn't so much that he told them, or it was told, and they disobeyed the request of everything in the garden you eat of, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not. Now, here's where the curse came in. The curse came in when they decided to independently act like God was not them. He, or even before Eve, based on the story, if it's true or not, doesn't matter anymore. When you start finding out the truth of your true identity, it doesn't matter. Now, watch this. It's strong what I'm going to say. It doesn't matter whether the Bible is the word of God or not. Because if you wake up to your true identity, you will fall back under the curse of separation every time you look for that great and terrible day of the Lord coming. I thought you said when God came in you, when you got saved, you received the Holy Ghost. Well, Holy Ghost must be Casper the Ghost, because you're talking like what you got wasn't what you really are placing your attention on. Our attention should be understood. It should be understood that every time you talk about God like he's in you and not you, you fall back under the curse. Now that's not going to be said in the brick and mortar. That's not going to be said when those who believe that when the music get right and the shouting get loud and everybody started running, that God showed up. Or when you see somebody get healed, a miracle, eyes blind open, deaf ears open, and all that stuff, then God showed up. That's falling back under the curse. And when and Brother John, when you say how many lessons do we learn, the lesson is you are not supposed to go back to separation after receiving what you said was what you were looking for that finally showed up. God shouldn't have to show up for and the lesson is don't leave God by separation, or let me just say it straight like this.
Say it straight.
Okay, here we go. When I married this girl, I married myself. Now, myself is in everybody that's listening. In that part of us, there's a place in us where we are perfect. I used to say it like this and fall back under the curse. None is perfect but God. None was perfect but Jesus. And he made mistakes because he learned obedience by the things that he suffered. You're falling again, and right here with God as the real us. Catch what I'm saying now. In order for the lesson to be learned, you have to learn to stop falling. Stop slipping and sliding, peeping and hiding, been told a long time ago. You shouldn't have to go to a church to hear a sermon to say God was really in that service.
Now, the goal of the curriculum is what you're mentioning.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The goal of the curriculum is to realize and never fall back into.
But I can say this. Once you taste of life, you won't want to go back to death.
But we do.
Thank you. It's time for you to put your...
And when we do, we find ourselves being very miserable. We're miserable in it.
That's like walking around all day long and say, I forgot to put my underwear on.
Oh my God, where did that come from? Oh my goodness.
Oh Jesus, but Dad, you got.
All right, I'm gonna bypass that.
Now you're gonna fail.
Just like a heart bypass. Bypass that.
Boy, he has some serious images there.
You can't
do a ruin why and bypass.
You can't separate me just because I don't say it like it's right.
Well, listen. What you want
to
say?
But I want to go back to what Dad stated concerning in the book of Genesis when the Lord said that the day that they would eat of the fruit, they would surely die.
Yeah.
Now,
Die, yeah.
people got to understand the word dead in a lot of areas in the Bible does not represent no longer exists and cease to exist. That's not what it means.
Come
It
on, come
means
on.
to separate. So that's what the Lord was saying. The day that you eat of that fruit, your awareness, you will be separated by your way of awareness, because they would again be separated. So that's when people talk about spiritual death, they're not really elaborating on it correctly. It simply means to be separated.
Okay.
Or when we return back to our
Okay.
place of where we are once again walking in oneness. That's what, again, with Jesus, and it's funny that you brought that up, because that's what Jesus finished on saying in again Luke chapter 20 verse 31 32. He said that he prayed that your faith fail you not, and after you are converted, which means to return back to your place of awareness, your place of confidence in the Lord. And then he said, then I want you to strengthen your brothers.
Yeah.
So,
You're not,
Yes,
we're not supposed to ignore the mystical side of our true identity that is only mystical to that walks under the fall of separation. Okay, here it is. Hold on for a minute. Wait a minute now. Every time I need to, somebody say, is that your wife? Wait, let me go to the register of deed and see if they got it on record in the book.
You don't have to.
I got to go check. Did you buy your wife
to the book?
Yeah. Did you buy it? Did you, when you did your wedding, did you have the bride's the wedding band? Did you put the ring on her finger? No, I didn't. Well, y'all ain't married then. If I can't find it in the book, Christ ain't in me. I got to find the book, read the book, read a story, have somebody tell me that God is in me. That's the fault. That's what he meant when he said, on the day that you eat of it, you're going to see that there's a possibility of you missing the mark of where God really is and who he is.
Yeah, I've got to read the scripture because we're talking
I didn't mean
about,
to preach.
Yes, you did.
Yes, he did.
I failed, didn't
he
I?
did. He meant to do that. But in Romans 8, it says to be carnally minded in the 6th
separation
verse is death.
That's death.
We were talking about that, right? To be carnally minded. Carnal coming from carnivorous, meaning meat. When we are only identified with this incarnation of being physical, then we are in death. And it says, or to be carnally minded is death, to be spiritually minded is life and peace. And he says, because the carnal mind is enmity against God. Yes. And then he said in the 8th verse, so then they that are in the flesh, in the meat, cannot please God. But, he said, but you are not in the flesh. You are not in the meat. The you that you are is not in this body in the sense of being this body's substance, but you are that the body, that you're wearing this body, but you are not that body. So it says, you're not in the flesh, but in the spirit. If it be that the Spirit of God dwells in you. Now, if any man has not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. If Christ be in you, the body is dead, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. And it goes on and on and on and on. But he's talking about the mental chaos that takes place when one totally identifies with himself as only a physical being.
Exactly. And we
spend
most of our focus and attention on that, satisfying the appetites. And because I had to explain to someone just Sunday that when we talk about the word carnal, whatever, it's not always making reference to this. The shell itself is dealing with the carnal mindset where everything is focused on satisfying these natural appetites, these desires, and so forth and so on. Because now remember now, you don't have to teach a child how to do something wrong or how to lie.
Even a dog knows when they've done something wrong.
Exactly.
If you ask them, what did you do? They turn their head or do what something. They know they've done wrong. So I mean, we all have that.
The message of the sender
Yeah.
is his own existence, is the one that is the message that you are, and you are the message that he is. So what and where is there a place to look for God other than the reason why you're looking is because you missed the mark, and the mark being missed is the lesson of not dropping back and coming forward, running a touchdown to reach a mark to where you can say, I won. The Lord is with me. He never left you. The big lie of the sickness in this dimension is I had to give my life to God. How can you give something to somebody that is the life that you are?
Well, that's what we said in the meditation tonight. I surrender, give you what you have, what has always been yours. It's always been God.
What has always been you?
It's always been. So I wanted to
I
address.
thought about that when you said that the statement that's made when it says the Lord is married to the backslider.
Yeah.
So that means that he never leaves. You
He ain't never divorced
in awareness, but he never leaves.
That's the big lie of this dimension.
And the truth is, in oneness, God cannot leave, because that we are is God itself imagining us into existence.
Exactly.
You know what I heard him say? God is our social security.
Sure. Sure, God is.
We don't like that. We don't like that. I'll tell you something else. When you start seeing this beingness as I am Yahweh, Yeshua, the ego will get mad.
Oh,
and that is what is acting ugly in our government.
Yeah. Now
the ego is mad.
Yeah, it is. It is. I wanted to address what Sadie, just because she made this comment, I wanted to acknowledge it. She says, to keep my faith during hard times. She said, I just went through that. I broke up with my boyfriend after 6 years. It was very hard. It was something I had to do.
Wonder why you had to. Or was it that you chose to? Ask the question, what chose to? What made this event arise to declare I had to? Was it separation from him, or was it something that he was being that was false in his identity or in your identity? Something was what I'm bringing this to is, if you're going to cook in the kitchen, you got to have the right things there in front of you to cook with. Once you put it together, it is not separated because things didn't work a certain way. I'm talking about the Christ in us now. I'm not talking about the boyfriend part.
I love that analogy.
I'm not talking about the boyfriend part, sweetheart, sir, ma'am, whoever they are out there. Sadie, I'm just talking when I say everybody out there, because all of us in the wrong identity is the part that is guilty is the wrong identity, Sarah.
So I hear what you're saying. So if she had to do it, she had to do it to bring herself into alignment.
In order to do that, you got to slip back over into separation to get this straightened out.
Actually, the role was played so she could bring herself.
That's right. But now let's look with the eyes of your infinite self. You really didn't do any separation except for in the physical, finite self.
So I wanted to, she brought up something in me when she said that. I was speaking with my goddaughter the other night. She said that she's learning how not to pass judgment on people. And she said she used to be very quick to do it. And so now in her passing and interacting with people, she said she quickly says, Lord, forgive me, I didn't mean to do that, because she recognizes it when it comes up. The judgmentalism is
the fall.
It is the fall, yes. But she said the reason she came to that point was she found herself in a situation that was similar to the one she was judging. And she realized that there is the potential in every last one of us to do what the other one has done. And so therefore her ability to detect it was because she'd fallen into it. So we could take that as a part of the divine curriculum. She had to go through that to learn not to be judgmental.
Now here's the tabernacle in the wilderness.
That's mind blowing.
The tabernacle in the wilderness is the building, the structure, the sand, the dirt, and the 1,000 of people that followed Moses. The tabernacle symbolizes a priest that had to be separated, a priest that had to appease for making a peace for everybody's misplaced identity self by going into the Holy of Holies. And then when he got in there, he saw God, worked around God, saw the box that God set on the cherub angels and the fire of God, and where God was sitting in his seat on the top, on the box, on the Ark of Covenant. And then when he got through, he come back out. And when he come back out, where he went in was the lesson was you're gonna go through this until you learn how to stay your reference.
To
abide.
And that's the key.
Without the brick, without the tent, without the different tribes.
Without any.
He about to pop, but when I look at
it, Dad, it's funny because I was getting ready to say that. I am getting ready to pop because you gave earlier, and I was hoping that you was going to stay with it. You gave earlier a great analogy for or metaphor for one understanding oneness, but at the same time dealing with the conflict of separation. You mentioned about being in the kitchen, and when you cook it, you have to have all the ingredients.
Okay.
So each ingredient is different. Yes. And flavor and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And so you bring all the ingredients together and you make one. So let's use a cake, for example. You get all the ingredients of the cake and you put it together, you bake the cake. So now that cake, all the ingredients is now what? One. You cannot separate those ingredients. But a person that is skilled and have discerned, they have exercised their senses to discern, they're able to taste that cake and be able to identify every ingredient that is in that cake. And that's the lesson that the Lord is teaching us when it comes to the Spirit. We all are different in so many different ways, but we come together as one. But to a person that is skilled and has exercised their senses, they're able to identify everything that's part of that one.
Which explains what I was saying about my goddaughter. She now can identify judgment because she recognizes it. And so, and speaking of putting together a cake, you don't just throw the ingredients together.
Nope.
They're put together a certain way. If you don't do them a certain way, the cake turns out a certain way.
She told me today, I was in there talking to her while she's washing clothes. You don't know how to wash clothes. You don't know how to cook. I said, well, teach me. All right. What we're doing on this class is pointing you to the direction of showing you how to not ever have to go anywhere to find God.
Exactly.
Now the cake is, I told her, I said, well, I cooked a meatloaf one time when I was a little boy and a wood stove, and I had been to somebody's house and they cooked one and it was good. So I thought I'd go on and take a pound of hamburger and make it. But in order to make it, I had to make a fire in the wood stove. I mean, wouldn't nobody eat it but me. But the thing of it is, hey, nobody else in the garden to eat of that tree or eat of that fallen state but Adam, and who she was or who it was, male and female, inside of him. She was eating when he bit and he bit when she ate. So when it said the voice of the Lord walked in the cool of the garden, that was who walking up to who? God walking up to himself. And how in the world did a voice get legs and could walk? Well, it had to be a being.
Well, but see, the thing is, they got to remember they're given descriptions, but the voice, God is a spirit, and so they got to understand when it said the voice walking in the garden. Again, Moses is writing based off of his experience or conversation, if everything that is recorded right, he's recording again what the Lord is saying unto him. So of course Moses was not there, all right, when that event happened.
Right.
All that came when he was having his I'm gonna use that later on. Because he was having a divine, truly a divine experience encounter with
He
God.
was at the
He
divine
was,
intersection.
And then he brings the stories back, just like he did supposedly the Ten Commandments. He brought the stories back based on what the Lord shared with him. So now when we say the voice walking in the garden, no, God is a spirit. So all they could do is hear God. All right. Because there was one with him in consciousness, in awareness, and so forth. So when they ate of the fruit at that time, they lost their awareness, which caused the separation. They died in that area of consciousness where they were separated from God. So remember, God never had to look for Adam before.
I want to go back.
That.
Yeah. And you just made me remember. I want to go back to something Sister Chris said on Sunday. She said when she had the incident where they determined that at first it was a stroke, but then they later found out it was not. She said she went somewhere. She didn't know where, but all she knows is that when Christ woke up, he brought Christine back. That was her words. So in that incident that you're just mentioning, Pastor Norman, if it be true, their consciousness, or I should say, something went offline. Their spiritual mind went offline.
Good. That's good.
And what came online and was activated was a different program. And so until that Christ's mind is reawakened, they went somewhere.
I'm popping, mommy pop. Y'all, I don't know if y'all saw this yet, but y'all do know that the trilogy, the movie, The Matrix, was actually based on the life of Jesus.
Oh, really?
They finally, matter of fact, Fishburne was the one, he was being interviewed, and the names were used, those certain names were used because of different aspects of Jesus in the Bible.
I can see that.
So they just did a different version, a more of a end time, up to date science fiction version of Jesus. That was the intention. And so when mom said that about being online, remember that was some of the incidents that happened in the Matrix when they was online or offline by what being hooked up to another dimension.
Exactly.
So when they were hooked up, they were able to do things that on the other side they were not able to do.
Well, let me say this. Now this is gonna be kind of out there too.
You know, moving pages out.
I know I have. This is kind of out there too. Let's see if I can find it right quick. Okay. In Ephesians 2, it says in the 5th verse, even when we were dead in sins, he has quickened us together with Christ.
Separation.
With Christ, and has raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in Christ Jesus.
I like that. Raise us up together.
What if? This is just a what if. What if you're not really here?
I see you.
What if you're not really here?
Come on.
I see you.
You just think you're here.
Come on.
Something is thinking about being here.
That's
and
good.
It ain't the real us that's thinking that either.
And there's another spot where it says we are seated with Christ.
Exactly.
And so we think we're here.
Sadie, Miss Sadie, it says, of God are we in Christ, and Jesus Christ, the Christ self is made
unto
us faith, wisdom, sanctification, and righteousness, holiness, and all that stuff. All right. We done chopped it up. We done chopped this thing up so much we don't even know which direction we're going. But now we're gonna go home. We're gonna go home now. We done chopped it up in the kitchen. We done chopped it up at the restaurant. We done chopped it up at the chef. We done chopped it up over there at the Church of God in Christ. We done chopped it up as the Baptist, the Methodist, the Holiness. We done chopped it up as the Cornerstoners, and we done chop, holy roller chopping. And we done knocked somebody's wig off, chopping and shouting and rolling in the floor, doing the rollover, the four corner rollover, and the skip and the hip and the hop and the slop and the jopping and can on. And now we done got to the place where we done went to chopping up everything and wearing the dresses so short you can see everything but the moon shining through on the other side. And then we come out over there and say, then somebody chop it up again and say, that ain't holiness of God. Sanctified people don't wear short dresses. Well, I guess they do. Because anytime you go into separation with Christ in you, you wear a short dress, and you don't even have to have a dress on. Another thing,
it has nothing to do with the dress.
No, another thing, everybody go homosexual every time they change their mind to be the false self. Because the false self is the one that abuses the male and female gender. I'm not sending anybody to heaven or hell because they want to go acting a man in a woman's suit. I don't have any problem with that. But the thing of it is, what is causing the friction in the house is separation from your true identity.
And actually, that's the word that is used in the Amplified translation of what Mom just read. And then I have to go back to it. The word used, it says, even when we were spiritually dead and separated from him because of our sins, he made us spiritually alive together with Christ. For by his grace, his undeserved favor and mercy, you have been saved through God's judgment. And he raised us up together with him when we believed, or when we came back online. Seated us with him in heavenly places because we are in Christ Jesus. And he did this so that in the ages to come, he might clearly show the immeasurable and unsurpassed riches of his grace.
Yes. Now, this is why John, he's asking me to repeat it again. I don't know if I can, but this is where when I had this realization is when I wrote this point. I call it the awakening. I'm going to read it. Wandering, lonely, aside, and lost till the glorious day of my Pentecost. Jesus himself died for me when God in his omniscience did foresee my sins, even 2,000 years before, the pain and the suffering he bore. Yes, all this was done for me when Jesus died on Calvary. No longer do I need forgiveness for my sins, for mine were all future way back then. Past, present, and future wrongs are cast into the sea where they belong. And in him I was crucified. There on Golgotha, I also died. The burden of guilt I no longer bear, for Jesus and I were buried there, in that lonely, dark, forsaken tomb, similar to my mother's womb. Like a baby, I was born when Jesus rose that Easter morn. Oh, how the glory did shine. Heaven and earth I knew were mine. When he ascended, he wasn't alone, because I went with him to the throne. There, seated with him, I am resting, and it's not me the devil is testing. Though I walk and talk like me, I have a new identity. When my body I gave as a living sacrifice, it became no longer I that live, but Christ.
Now, the question came up. Preacher was ministering and trying to get a evil spirit out of a person. The spirit said, "You can't cast me out. You can't get me out." The preacher said, "I may not can, but Jesus can, and Jesus has already." So in the wilderness, if that is true about the wilderness in the book, paper and ink, Who was out there in the wilderness? Oh, Jesus was tempted of the devil. You being tempted right now to slip in and out of joint of your true identity. Now, where was us? We was inside of Christ.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
Mama carried. Actually, why the Lord taught me how, Spirit taught the finite self how to talk the talk of God to a baby in the womb before it comes out in a suit, in a body. So I talked to the baby, asked the baby what's going on in there. Baby said, my mama, every night at 12 o'clock, she has a craving for certain food. I say, well, what kind of food was it? The baby told me in the stomach what the food was at 12 o'clock at night. And the lady's husband was standing right there beside her, the baby daddy. Baby daddy outside, baby mama standing there, and baby inside. So I decided to go inside the belly where the baby was and talk to the baby inside the stomach. Now, when are we going to learn how?
That's the same question that people will ask that Nicodemus asked. How can I go back in the womb?
Thank you. And the question,
and be born again.
And the answer is, every time you talk to your true identity, you talking to the born, born again already. Never left. You don't never stop being. Right. You don't never stop losing toehold on this thing just because your toe hurt.
Now we might be done broke somebody's mind. I think we might.
We done broke up something.
But you said I think what you said, because my mind is going 1,000 miles per hour right now.
I know it.
When you made the statement, what if?
What if we're not really here?
We're not really here.
Okay.
And so I was talking, my wife and I, we was talking to someone earlier. They was talking about their daughter when she was young, real young. And the other sisters was kind of like, they was very leery because she was like, she's weird because she's saying stuff and so forth. Well, she saw a picture of her grandmother. But the thing was, her grandmother had actually died before she was born. But when she saw the picture of her, when she got to the age where she could talk, like maybe 1, 2, whatever, she told her mom, I know her. I talked to her. And then was bold enough to say, I talked to her before I was in your belly.
Yeah, I have a prenatal memory of my mom.
You know what I'm saying? And so then she went and made the statement later on that we all came from the mind of God. So when you said what you said, could we just be products of a thought right now and we're not really here?
Thank you. Where everything that is we're witnessing the mind of God.
Exactly.
Okay, let me give you this.
And we were really over time, but go ahead.
Let me give you something that I see often that happened to me when I was a little boy, raised up in moonshine shotgun house. I had my uncle selling moonshine. We was right in the path where my house was, in an apartment, a flat they call it, upstairs, downstairs. Everybody wanted to sell liquor because my uncle was making.
That was his business.
He was making a buku dollars.
He was making a lot of money, yeah.
They would come past the house, and the church is on the other side of the house, up there in the zigzag curve, they call it, Baptist church. And they'd come into my house. Boy, they'd be dressed for church, but they never made it. So they stopped. They stopped at the liquor house, Mr. Shore house, my uncle, and they would all come in there, and the kitchen would be packed. And the table, one of them little fancy-looking metal tables that over against the wall, and had all linoleum floors. We would put the linoleum floors on, had them pretty flower and rosy. By the time the end of the week, after my aunt done put that linoleum down on the floor, they done skeeted a path from the door to the table. All them flowers on that design were gone. But when they got in there, they would say, they'd always tell my uncle what they wanted to drink, and he would accommodate. And my aunt or somebody over at the sink had to keep them glasses washed out. Well, they get half a pint, a fifth, and all that, and they had them little drink glasses around, and they would be standing on against the stove and the refrigerator, trying to decide on after the glasses were set on the table, trying to decide on who was going to start the drinking first. Well, they got their Stetson hat and them Botany 500s and them Johnny Bull $100 shoes handmade, and they were supposed to be going to church. They never did make it. They hit the switch when they got past my house and had to go in there. Some would come at the back door, some come at the front door. Cars would be parked all up and down the driveway. Them boys come in there and they 4 or 5, my uncle's brother, cousins, all of them standing there, and they wouldn't start drinking until somebody broke the chain and took the first drink. Well, the person that took the first drink was a man that had DTs. Every time he get ready to go to the table, this is the switch now that they hit. When he go to the table, he'd be shaking so bad that he couldn't hold the drinking glass in his hand, because if he did, he'd be shaking it all over his chest, all down his mouth and everywhere. But when he got his mouth down there and shaking his head and got that smell of that first taste on his tongue, he straightened up like a soldier, like a Roman soldier. And then everybody else would come behind him. This is what has happened to the fall of man and into our government the same way. We get in the house, we get around them. If somebody break the chain, I've seen them with their wives had to come up the highway, cross the highway, and get them and cuss my uncle out and take them back home. When they got them back down there on Rundale, where they all of them lived, they were drinking buddies. They'd all get together and one go get the other, and they come up to my house. And I mean, it would be a time. They'd be in the front room and in the kitchen. Well, by the time they got all drunk, nobody got to church. They couldn't go to church. So I'm standing there watching them. Now I understand now what was going on, because until they got that first drink, they talk just as nice and businesslike. They just as nice until one of them get that first drink. The whole presence in the house would smell like moonshine. My house would smell like moonshine for a week. And when Friday came around, excuse me, it would be gone, and the smell had to start all over again. This is what has happened to us on Sunday at church, when we have, they call the old time big meetings out in the country. The big meetings out in the country, the churches, the pastors, and all of them, the church would be full. And one, hey, like this guy said, he was in the church, and this little boy was sitting behind this big fat lady, and every time she jump up, her dress would be mailbox back there, and he would reach up there and pull it out. And his daddy said, "Leave that woman alone. Don't do that. That's that woman's business, the way her clothes look on her." And she sat down, then the preacher would go to preaching, she'd get happy again. But when she jump up, her clothes would be up in the mailbox in the back, you know, and he would pull it out. So he gets smacked and popped in church for messing with the lady's dress. So one time the lady stood up. When she stood up, her dress wasn't in the mailbox. He reached in there and stuck it up in the mailbox. And his daddy popped him. This is church. Everybody would be down the path. When somebody come up, they'd let the word out. They got something down in the woods. They go down there in the woods and get a 50-cent shot and come back and go in the church drunk. But they had the best of time shouting. What happened? That booze in my house and in the country church hit the switch for them. That's what made people all during the week be just as nice until they get that first drink. When we took the first drink of false identity, we go to church to get high and leave high and have to go to work on Monday and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we go to Bible study. We get in there and get high again. We lose it going to work and come back on Saturday and Sunday and start all over again. That is nothing but the curse of the fall of man that's been going on. But we have to get medication, drugs, pot. I mean, we take so much pot that we had to be potty trained. in order to hit the switch. Now, that's what has happened to our country. There's a civil war going on all over in the protesting. That's the high that people are on. Why do we have to go through these schools or these lessons? John Greason is the answer to your question. We get drunk on the feelings. We get drunk on the blessings. We get drunk on the miracles. We get drunk on going to church. Why can't we stop and be what the Christ really is on the inside of us without having something to booster us?
Mm-hmm.
That's where our church is. That's where church life is. And it's not real.
Nope.
It's not real. What is real is only the Christ in us without any additives. We take all kinds of stuff. When I started drinking in my body mind, I can be around it, take it or leave it. I'm still who I am in my eternal self. I never lose it. But the curse is I got to get something to help me move. I got to get something. Then we'll say when a miracle took place, God was with you. Where was he when you was in the liquor house? Where were you when you was out in the woods drinking before you got drunk and went into church? Where were you before you got in there and got to shouting? Where were you where was the Christ before you woke up? He was there all the time. Your faith is wobbly. Your faith has got a flat tire, and you keep putting air in it instead of fixing the tire or fixing the tube in the tire where you won't have to keep patching it all the time. That's my point. We are patched up Christianity. We are a patched up churchgoer. We are a patched up Bible reading. Mama called, daddy sent, somebody picked up the Bible and went. And then we say God was with us because we had a good time in church. I rest my case. You see, look at me, John. I mean, not John, but Norman. I'm going to call you Marvin. I'm going to call all the names of everybody in my church. Hey, you see him popping eyes at me.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
Well, I rest my case. I'm through. I done said enough. I don't need to say no more.
Listen, guys, we're going to go and we'll see you again on Sunday. Don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to follow us again when we come back on Sunday. Pastor Norman, did you get the message from Facebook that they're no longer going to keep your live videos past 30 days?
Oh yeah, I got that. But someone told you have to update to professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I already noticed that most of the videos are only 30 days now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to update to professional, but those of you who cannot get the videos past the 30-day point, you can always find them on our YouTube channel. So I just want to make sure you know that in the meantime. And you can, all of ours are still on YouTube.
Can you imagine how over the time that we've been coming on, how many classes we done made on this thing?
We've got hundreds.
I that too, because we've been on since the pandemic. That was 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And it's 2025.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't realize we're doing virtual stuff for 5 years.
Says, including YouTube? No, I don't think YouTube is doing it, John. Now, they may, but I haven't gotten a notice about that. I did get a notice about Facebook. I got a notice about Facebook, which I'm not crazy about Facebook anyway, but yeah.
I mean,
when we were foster parents, we had 2 children. One of the boys, no. One of the kids, when they came to us, we couldn't keep the rest of them that we wanted to keep because the parents wanted them to come back when they whatever. But one child, we gave him our name, and he carries that name to this day because we adopted him. Yeah. We carry the name more than carry. We are the name of Christ, the Lord. Yeah. And everything that Jesus is and Christ is, we are it now, in spite of looking at the dirt and the faults and the judgments and the mistakes. That did not change our name. I saw in the council room that my name was up there and his name was on earth. I rest my case.
That's the second case you missed.
I got a lot of cases.
I don't know what's all this court stuff coming up because
I got a lot of cases.
I even used that on Spenny as well.
I got to have me an attorney.
You might need one.
I got an attorney.
I used that. After that, I mentioned about the accuser being the prosecutor and Jesus being. No, I said prosecutor.
Oh, I was a prosecutor.
And then Jesus being again defense attorney. Yeah, I talked about that on Sunday. Yeah.
Well, fax me some pulled pork and
You said fax you some pulled pork.
And when you say pulled pork, what does that mean when you pull a pork?
It's
barbecue. It's a Boston butt, all right. Barbecue. And then after you cook it and smoke it, you let it sit for a while, and then you shred it into pulled pork. When you go to the store, make the sandwiches, buy the pulled pork sandwiches and stuff. That's what I'm. Yeah,
that's how you make it. That's good too.
Did you get it? You have any left over?
You got your own.
I ain't gonna have none left over once we get to Columbia.
You have your own sauce.
No, I haven't created my own sauce yet. And I have one of my members who make their own barbecue sauce that is out of this world. And so we talking. We going into business together.
Hey, you know, we used to go to Fort Payne, Alabama, and they used to have them barbecues and at the house where we staying, you know. We staying and down and they table in their house with a picnic table. And they lived on a dirt road, you know.
And they killed a lot of pigs.
Oh Lord.
And
they said Brother Jill down there said he got the special rib and special barbecue sauce. Pastor Norman, I could have took one of them ribs and used it as a scotch block to put on a truck tire.
That was the toughest ribs I had ever had.
I thought maybe we want to have to get a hammer and crack them things.
Yeah, John, it's full.
I promise you, my ribs are not like that.
I like mine chopped. Yeah,
I like mine tender. I don't know nothing about chopped.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna send a picture of what I did this past weekend to you.
I don't want to eat no pictures. I can't eat no pictures.
All right, Pastor.
Hey, she got some ribs in there today. She fished today, Pastor.
It's a short rib.
Short rib, long rib, square rib, round rib.
Short rib.
They will make you hit a bull between his eyes and knock him to his knees. I mean, this stuff, when she got ready to put it in my plate, it didn't fall at the bone. The bone fell out of it. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, them things, I had to suck the meat. I had to smack my jaws and pop my lip.
Good grief, boy.
I'm telling you the truth. They right.
Gotta go. They don't want to hear all that.
Yeah, they do. Somebody hungry. John Grayson wants some pulled pork. He wants some tender. He wants something to eat.
They probably already left us. But anyway, we hope to see you on Sunday. Bye, guys.
See you later.